The TikTok thing is I'm 55, right? So there are moments when I look around at the people that I work with and I kind of say, are we really doing this? Am I really putting on a raincoat again? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I know that you are gearing up for the holiday season and gearing up for the new year, and you have this great partnership with Frito-Lay. So tell me all about it.
I think that the idea for me is that instead of, because everybody always gives things up on New Year's Eve, they say, I'm not going to do this next year. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to drink that. And I think sometimes it's like subconsciously that seems quite negative, I think. Do you know what I mean? And I think maybe you should try and pick something that you're not going to give up. I think that would be, and going off the last couple of years we've had, I don't want to be doing anything negative on New Year's Eve. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of like over it. I mean, I'm smiling here, but I'm not inside because everything we've tried to do, we've been really lucky this year. We actually toured in the UK. We finished a few weeks ago, managed to do all the gigs. None of the crew or the band or anybody got COVID, but I mean, it was really, really, we did everything we possibly could. Mm-hmm. And that's not real world. That's make-believe world. Mm-hmm. Normal people, everyday people, all of us just, mucking in kind of thing. Everyone's had a really tough couple of years. And I just think come New Year's Eve, I don't want to be saying, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to eat that. I think it's far better to say, what are you not going to give up? What do you never give up?
So what are you never going to give up in 2022?
My first thing, I was discussing this with my wife actually, who's a really good cook. She's also from Denmark and they're very, very healthy eaters and, and she's very kind of, don't get me wrong, she loves to eat big time. And, but she doesn't like desserts basically. And I love dessert. And when we go to restaurants, I find it really annoying that she doesn't want dessert because I want to taste two desserts, if you know what I mean. And occasionally she will order dessert just because she knows I want to taste it. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of vowed, that's certainly one thing I'm just never giving up, because it's kind of, I also think I really believe in the power of the mind with certain things. And I think sometimes depriving yourself, I'm not talking about clinical things or things you should not be eating and drinking, but I'm saying if you deprive yourself all the time and you've always got that in the back of your mind, I've got a funny feeling that might work against you and your physicality and your body and your mental, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think it's probably far better to say, I am actually never giving up this, and almost treating it like a treat or like something that's, you're not going to overindulge, but you're just going to enjoy it and, So that's kind of my deal with it, I think, right now.
I like that. I know that also along with this partnership, you have this fun Rick Talk challenge, right?
Yeah. The idea is that people can duet with me, but also then that they're having a competition as well, where they can win $1,000, by the way, about giving the best answer. If you go to my socials and obviously Frito-Lay, you'll find all about it. And I kind of think the TikTok thing is I'm 55, right? So there are moments when I look around at the people that I work with and I kind of say, are we really doing this? Am I really putting on a raincoat again? Do you know what I mean? But I kind of think I've come to sort of see things like TikTok and various things on the internet in a very different way. Mm-hmm. We didn't have that when that first record, Never Gonna Give You Up, came out. We didn't even have anything like the internet. It was so slow moving in lots of ways. Mm-hmm. It took forever to tell the world you had a record or there was a movie out or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I kind of think, I don't know really, I think you can either put your head in the sand and ignore things and say, no, we're just gonna do it our way and let the rest of the world go by, and it will. Yeah. Or you can kind of try to embrace it a little bit. Again, I'm pretty careful, I think, sometimes not to overindulge in it because, I think it's right for some people to do that, but I just don't think it is for me. I sing at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I'm a musician, I do whatever. I'm in that world really. I'm not in the world of being an influencer or this, that and the other. Do you know what I mean? But I do think those two things, whether we like it or not, or whether we want to admit it or not, are getting closer and closer and closer all the time. It's just the way the world is, so.
So true. So true. So, take me back to the 1980s when you were first kind of coming up with the idea for Never Gonna Give You Up. Like, what was the first idea? Was it a note? Was it a lyric? How did
Well, I actually didn't write this song. And the three guys who wrote it and produced it, I signed to them. They were this tiny little production company. They hadn't really had a proper hit yet. But I was from a tiny town in the north of England where nothing ever goes on. And I thought, I'll get to live in London for a few weeks. It'll be fun. We might even make a single. We'll see what happens. And I signed a deal with them. And then in the next 3 or 4 months, they became the biggest producers, certainly in Britain and then kind of around Europe and lots of different parts of the world. Mm-hmm. They kept having #1 records.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the is going? So then when it came to them actually make a record for me, because I was just this kid that they'd signed, they kind of sat down, and I think they just wanted something that, because I looked about 11.
Yeah.
So I think they wanted something that kind of felt kind of like a bit endearing, that a young guy would sing to a girl. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's also kind of weird because the guy who did what we call the programming, i.e. setting out the chords and all the rest of it to build the actual record, I used to go and get him coffee, and I used to just sit next to him in the studio while he did it. And so it was really weird because I had a slightly different view because they were quite a lot older than I was. I was still a kid, really. And I remember just thinking, there's definitely something in this song. I don't know whether it'll be a hit or not, but there's something about it. And so anyway, and I did write songs after, and I got songs on that record actually, and I had a couple of singles along the way and stuff. But that first moment of actually being kind of like witnessing a song kind of come to life really, and then releasing it, and you know, it was a #1 kind of everywhere sort of thing around the world, and it was just one of those crazy songs, you know. So it was a weird introduction into the actual professional world of music, because I'd just sung in bands with my friends at school and in bars and clubs and wherever we could, you know. So
crazy. And then 1 billion views on YouTube later.
Kind of, yeah. So it took a while, but yeah.